Hello everyone, and welcome to this episode of Journey Time, where we learn all about people's journeys, the highs, the lows, the ups and the downs. And today we're doing something a little different. I have two special guests, not one, but two. Yeah. And these lovely gentlemen are some awesome individuals, which we're gonna dive into in a little bit. But joining us is Robel Andemichael and Ermias Haile. Thank y'all for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
I'm excited to be here. I'm excited that you're here and we're here.
By the way, where are we?
We're in Seattle, Washington, but we're more specifically in Boon Boona Coffee Cafe in Renton, Washington.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shout out my guy Ephraim.
Yes, shout out to Ephraim and Boon Boona.
Yes.
So again, we have Robel and Ermias, and they go by Erm and Robino. So these two gentlemen right here host one of my favorite podcasts in the entire world. It's called The Up and Up, and they feature people from all walks of life that are just doing that are on the up and up, that are killing it in this world, making moves, making the world a better place. So let's just dive right into that, and the podcast is more than that too. It's a platform where you all are really cultivating the culture. You're bringing community events. You're building this. It's a whole movement. So how did y'all even get started with it? And then talk about what is the Up and Up?
For starters, me and Erm, we did radio in college together. Shout out Washington State University, go Cougs.
Go Cougs.
So we started off doing radio in college, and radio was fun. I would say it was fun, but it wasn't until we did that first interview, and mind you, I don't know how well it went. Looking back now, it was whatever, but it was the fact that we just had a platform. Like, we felt powerful in a sense. We're like, man, we got a platform to where we can provide for people to share their stories. And shout out Solomon Doobie of Cafe Avol. He was our first ever interview we had. And it was at a time when he didn't even have a coffee shop. He just had a vision, he was casting it.
So by the way, I had coffee there and lunch, and it was amazing. And the fact that you interviewed him while he was planting the seeds,
He was our first ever podcast interview when we launched the Up and Up as well. So it was like a full circle.
What? How cool is that? What's the experience been like for you being able to share these powerful stories of people really making these moves in the community?
I just think it's important because what we're trying to push is just support, So at times I get kind of surprised how support is not normal, So it's kind of like we're just trying to normalize it and try to make people realize if you support somebody, it doesn't take away anything from you, So that's one of the biggest things that I feel like we're trying to bring to the table and cultivate.
Yeah, and we started radio in college, but as far as the Up and Up, it was interesting. It was such an organic build-up because me and him were, we graduated school. We're like, yo, we got to continue doing this radio thing. Let's do a podcast. And one of our good friends, Fletcher Bailey, he was the chief editor for the school's newspaper, right? So we were all broke college students, or not college students because we graduated, trying to figure it out.
Broke graduates.
Broke graduates. There you go. And Fletcher came up to me. I remember this was literally 3 weeks after we graduated, and we're in Pullman in the summer, just nothing to do. And he comes up to me. He's like, "Yo, thinking about starting a blog, right?" And we have already been having conversations about this podcast, and I'm just like, at first I was like, "Yeah, do that," and then go back and I'm like, "Yo, we can really, build something to where everybody in this 3-person group here can do what they said they wanted to do, but we can have a collective goal." And that was kind of what planted the seeds, I would say.
That's so awesome.
To building this platform.
You talk about this collective goal. One thing that, you all make sure is clear is that you have a team. Even when I came to the studio and got to hang out with you all, I saw there were multiple people behind the cameras and the studio. Talk about that team effort and, the people that surround y'all that really help push this forward.
I feel like having a team and knowing how to move within the team it humbles you in a way, because it's you want to do everything yourself. You kind of want to, you have that little ego thing a little bit, even if you don't have a big ego. You kind of have this thing where it's kind of you want to create it yourself, and then you realize what everybody else could bring to the table, and then you're like, okay, I could take a step back and let him do his thing, or let anybody else on the team do their thing. So I feel like it'll help mold me as a person, So.
And you're building together, and through this process, you've had a lot of great moments with people where you're learning, and you learn from experiences that teach you things you maybe didn't know. Can you talk about some of those things that you learned along the way, and even some of the challenges you really had to overcome to bring this to life?
There's a lot of challenges.
Oh, that's right.
No, and I say that in a good way because what was once challenges are now is wisdom. You know, what was once a challenge is now wisdom. And like, I think one of the biggest things was learning how to truly build a team, and at the same time not try to control people, because that was like some of the hardest things I had to come across and figure out. Was our team was built so organically, and it wasn't until we found our why, which was how can we take this platform, create content, obviously, which isn't nothing new under the sun, but how can we create content that's necessary and needed? How can we paint pictures and tell stories of people in certain spaces that, you know, aren't being represented, right? How can we do it in a real, raw, authentic, cool way, right? So we kind of all collectively had a goal, but building a team, like, it was tough. Like he said, it's like, sometimes you're like, nah, let me do it. And then what I realized was, if you truly want to give someone an opportunity to work with you, then you got to give them an opportunity to work, right? You can't, like, you know, the company started, it was me, Fletcher, and Abdi, right? And Abdi, you know, he's a visual artist, photographer, videographer. I knew him since high school, always see him with a camera on him. And when it came time to build this team, it was like, yo, he really likes doing what he's doing. How can we create a space for him to just do what he wants to do, right? I can't control him, but I can give him an opportunity to do what he wants to do and just kind of fall back and trust that he's gonna figure it out as we are figuring it out. So trusting others to do a job that they said they wanted to do and that I know they can do was kind of a thing I had to learn.
All right, man, so just to kind of switch gears, because I love what you all are sharing so far, I want to talk about your backgrounds, your heritage. You two are both first generation Eritrean Americans. You're obviously from Seattle. How has that shaped you into the men that you are today?
I think going back home, I went back home twice in 01 and 05, and just seeing my family, my immediate family, and how they live. Like, they don't have much. They live in a village or whatever, but they're so like rich and like family and like not tangible things, but they're just like, they got a lot of values, and they like, they're like, I mean, happier than me almost in a way, or like my family or whatever. Not saying that, you know, we're not happy. But, you know what I mean? Like, they just live like a super family oriented life, and they're just like, they don't care about material stuff, and they really humble me. And I was like grateful that I went back when I was young, because I got to see that when I was young. So
that's dope. That's really dope.
I think it's just knowing your history, man. You know, I think a lot of people don't know their history, and sometimes it's available for them to know, but they don't necessarily go down that route to go study and learn up on it. And me going back home, I actually lived in Eritrea for 2 years, from age 8 to 10, and it was something my parents purposely did so that we can go and just see what life is like outside of a non-westernized, you know, really materialistic driven country. And at the time I didn't really know, I was just taking it in. But it wasn't until we moved back to the States where it hit me and I realized that I have a way better perspective. I see two sides of the spectrum now, right? So it really shaped the way I just viewed the world, right? I viewed it as if like, yo, you know, the things that matter the most to a lot of people here, you know, don't really mean that much, right, to some people back home. So it kind of allowed me to really kind of just be confident in myself and understand like, yo, there's two sides to every story, right? The American way is not the only way, right? Even though you get pressured into feeling like you have to adapt, which it was a culture shock, you know, going there for 2 years, going to school there, figuring things out, and coming back, and then having to readapt. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, I was like, what the hell is cursive? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was crazy. Like, these are things that, like, you know, I didn't even like really know, but I just think knowing my history, man, it really made me confident, and it really made me, I don't know, it just gave me a drive, an inner drive to just keep pushing, and knowing where I came from. It matters. It matters a lot.
It does matter. I really love the points that y'all are hitting, and just hearing y'all talk reminds me of Nipsey Hussle and how he talked about his upbringing and his background. You know, really shaped him. And I know y'all on the West Coast, and I know you've been following for years. You know, can you talk about, you know, how the legendary Nipsey Hussle maybe impacted your life and what you all are doing to, you know, to keep the marathon going? Yeah, I think, I mean, there's so much you could say about Nipsey and what he's done in his time. But one thing I really gravitated towards when it came to
what he stood for was demonstration. Like I look at his demonstration over presentation, right? You know, when he was one of the few rappers, if only rapper, I could say that when he's talking about these material possessions, it never seemed as though like that was it, right? He was kind of saying things in terms of like, I've been demonstrating, and these are just symbols to show you what happens when you continuously demonstrate and, you know, keep your marathon going, because he did it his way. And I think it also tied to his Eritrean heritage, where he said in an interview, it wasn't until I went back home and figured out where I came from that I didn't truly know who I was fully, you know? So I think he channeled Eritrea's independence and fight for independence into the way he just, you know, independently took over the game, right? Like, he was the artist, the CEO. Like no other rapper can say they was doing that. So demonstration over presentation, man. That's what I learned from him for sure.
And you know, maybe a message to young men that may be seeing this, you know, and obviously to anyone, women as well. But you know, I think it's important for our young guys to have role models to see. Like y'all created this whole platform, this whole movement. You're doing something for the first time. Yeah. You're highlighting real life experiences. Yeah. You're bringing relatable, transparent stories to the table. Like that's not something you see all the time. So what message you have maybe to young guys that may be able to just maybe looking for some direction?
Whatever ideas you have can and will work if you really put in the work. But you gotta really 100% believe in it though. You know, don't just feel like because this doesn't make money that it's never gonna make money at all. Like even your ideas, anything that you could bring to the table that's creative, if you really go hard at it and you love it, like so much time will pass, you know, like during that whole journey. Shout out Journey Time.
Hey.
So much time will pass during that journey, you know, but then like it won't feel like you spent like you're like 5 years. Wow, I gotta come up with a 5-year plan, and you're like 5 years seems so long, but if you do something you love, it's gonna feel like a year.
True.
You know,
facts.
and then if you just believe in it, you go hard, it's gonna end up working out.
Wow, you know? I love that. What about you?
I mean, you know, we actually have a motto that we live by within the team, which is set your pace, don't react to the race. And that right there is what I would say to anybody, man, young or old, you know, male or female, it doesn't matter. It's important for you to understand that you have to fully dictate your pace, right? And I think we've learned that through trial and error, through understanding, yo, we shouldn't have sped up and tried to rush this. We should have just slowed down. Who's telling us what to do? That's the thing about entrepreneurship, right? You're in control of your pace. Like no one's telling you to come clock in no more, right? No one's telling you to come and do this and that. So I would say for anybody out there who's going after anything, man, it doesn't matter whether it's business related. It doesn't matter even if it's you know, to pursue you know, money and trying to make a lot of money and create wealth. It's just about life in general. You need to set your pace and do not react to the race. And that's a message I think, you know, people can live by, and it'll definitely pay off for them.
Wow.
I kind of want to add to that too.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, so like you were saying too, you got to be self-aware. You know, like you really have to be self-aware. Like you can't say like, oh yeah, or like telling people, oh yeah, I do this, I do this, I do that, and then when you're by yourself, you're like, dang, I really didn't do none of that. You know, so you got to be a man of your word, and you really got to be real with yourself. You can't play yourself.
That's facts.
You know, there's times where you would say like, oh yeah, like talk to somebody and it makes it seem like you got it all figured out, and then when you're by yourself, you're like, damn, do I really though? Yeah. You know, so I feel like you just got to be real with yourself and don't be afraid to be vulnerable. Yeah. Because that's when you're gonna acknowledge the stuff that you need to improve on.
Transparency.
And everything will get better.
I love that.
You were really good at that too.
Yeah. Hey, we try to be, y'all. But you know, it's people like you all, you know, that support being able to feel safe, right? To be able to do that with people, and you all really give me so much inspiration. Seriously, your podcast, the platform you all have, y'all's whole team, and I know I connected with you all through social media, right? Like
shout out social media.
Shout out social media and Beanie Am for, you know, connecting us. But you know, talk about how social media, how you're able to leverage social media in a positive way, because there's a lot of negative with social media. And maybe we don't need to talk about all of it because some of us know what it is, but how can you positively use it?
I think for one, you need to understand the power that social media possesses, right? Like before you do anything, just understand, and I'm still thinking people aren't hip to it yet, but it's crazy how you can do the least amount of effort or put forth the least amount of effort and have, you know, the maximum reach, right? Like you can literally sit on your couch and like expose a message to millions of people if possible, right? So I think be responsible with your social media, right? I think a lot of people, we get too caught up in emotions, and you know, we tend to, we're conditioned to mimic other behaviors on social media as well. I would say, yeah, man, understand your responsibility, even if it doesn't seem like people are watching, because you may not have a lot of followers or you're not getting a lot of engagement. People see what you do, right? If someone's following you, chances are they may be exposed to what you're saying and doing. So just carry yourself how you want to carry yourself in real life, right? If someone sees you in real life, you know what they say, keep that same energy.
Yes,
keep that same energy.
yes.
Yeah.
You know, definitely keep that going. And you all both dropped so many gems, and I feel like we could be here for 24 hours because there's so much knowledge between these two. But just to sort of wrap it up, because this message is all about promoting positivity, spreading that love and that light. Y'all got the logo with the Up and Up. You know, we share similar missions. Talk about the Up and Up mission again, and how you all are promoting positivity through it, and just where you see it going in the future. So if you can kind of just hit on that.
Let's go ahead and start off.
All right, well, I'm gonna just explain it from the logo aspect.
Break it down.
Whatever. So the logo shows the roots or whatever. So it's kind of like you stay grounded. You know, you don't forget where you came from, how you started, or nothing like that. And then, but you still want to get to a certain level and kind of evolve. You know, and you kind of go up. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So that I'm gonna just explain the logo.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, and I think it speaks. The logo essentially speaks to our, you know, trajectory and like our future is. We know why we're doing what we're doing, which is what the roots symbolize. We know why we started, which is what the roots symbolize. And the finger pointing up essentially is letting us know, hey, sky's the limit.
Yes.
You can continue to elevate and grow, but you need to know your why and maintain that throughout the journey. You know what I'm saying? I got you. And yeah, but I mean, as far as what you can expect from the Up and Up, I mean, obviously the Up and Up podcast, amazing stories, compelling stories of people who are doing just dope work, great work in spaces that we may not be represented in. We have other various content that we're going to be rolling out soon. UpandUpClothing.com if you want to get fresh and stay on the Up and Up in style.
I got my hoodie. Can't wait to post my picture in it.
And then also, like, even for the Seattle community, we got some tangible things that we're building in the community. Shout out Vozy. We have the World is Yours entrepreneurship workshop that we've been running.
Just a lot of cool things on the horizon. And the social media where people can follow.
You can follow the Up and Up @_ the Up and Up. You can follow @_ the Up and Up Clothing as well. You can follow me @the _ Great Rubino.
And @young with a U _
Okay, and I'll be sure to put this in the caption, but I do want to end with one thing, because you always ask people on your show the one word that keeps you going. What's the one word that keeps you on the Up and Up, and what's the one word that keeps you on the Up and Up?
I would say legacy, because it's like you kind of, I mean, even if my name isn't attached to supporting people and all that, like I don't even care if my name's attached to it, but as long as the world changes, whatever you leave, like if I keep showing support, we keep showing support to each other, and people are going to do the same thing for years to come.
My one word would be impact, man. I think everything that I plan on doing moving forward in life has to be rooted in impact, and it has to be making impact, because impact is something that can't necessarily ever be erased, whereas, you know, money can.
That's true. There's true. A legacy and impact. There you go. Thank you everyone who tuned in tonight with this episode of Journey Time. We hope you enjoyed it. Got some gems, picked up some knowledge, incredibly inspired by these two. Keep it going.
Yes, sir.
Sending y'all lots of love, happiness, and joy. Mwah. Bye, everybody.